This is Alema, I'm G, and we are Manuia. We're so happy you joined us this evening. This is our second Facebook Live, and tonight we have our special guest, Kiani, Akina, and we have worked with Kiani for the last year on her application process. And we want to just give her a big shout out as she has been accepted to Harvard University. So well done. Kiani. So tonight we're talking about personal essays, and sometimes we kind of rush through putting together our personal essay, but tonight we want to share with you a little bit about how you can really make it work for you. And so we're going to have Alema share with us a little bit about personal essay, personal statements, and then we'll turn some time over to Kiani and she'll share her process with us.
So usually when you're starting the process of looking at the application, you're opening up your Common App, you're looking for that personal essay link, and you're clicking on that. There's a lot that it goes into before you even do that, because it's a process. In order for you to put your best foot forward, you'll probably need to start really early at looking at those essay prompts. You will want to approach it in a way where you're not just checking the box. You're going to look at things in a way to really put your best foot forward. So as you're opening up that Common App, it's important that you have, as you're reading those prompts, it'll give you a bunch of options to write on about your personal essay. It's important that you find a way to get emotionally attached to the prompt so that you're writing from the heart and you're able to really connect with the prompt, and then at the end really put your best foot forward. Whoever's reading your personal essay can tell that you have passion and you've identified the things that are important to you and how you're going to make an impact on their campus, and then ultimately what you'll do with their degree should they allow you to come on that campus. It's important to be authentic, to be your true self. Don't be someone else. It's important that you write it from your own experiences, and that's where all the meaning will come out as you're doing that. You do have to open up that application nice and early so that it allows you several revisions. It's important not to write it and then submit it immediately. It's important that many people, you will want, many revisions, a few people looking at it to give you the feedback that you need to really, fine tune that message that you're trying to relay.
Okay, Aloma, so you just gave us a lot of information, and I think maybe we could just break it down a little bit. So what you're saying is that when you're applying, prompts are questions? Is that what you're saying?
Right. When you open up the Common Application and you're looking and you click on the link that says personal essay, it'll give you questions, and I call them prompts as well. They're known by a couple things. So, and that prompt you to write on a subject that's important to you. So sometimes those prompts they give you, there is a possibility that you're not really connected to it, as Kiani would attest. But you have to find a way to connect with what you're writing so that they can know very easily the thing that moved you to action, that changed your life, that helped you get over a challenge, or helped you be who become who you are. You want to really connect with the prompt or the question, so that you're really putting out your best for your best self, and you're starting to, relay that message clearly.
Okay, so you open up the application. How many prompts are there? Are there just 2 to pick from, or 1 out of 5? Like, what do you think?
So depending on the school that you're applying to, they will all most likely have a personal essay.
Okay.
How many prompts they give would depend on the school, would you say, Kiani?
It depends on the school. The Common App, normally I think there's like 5 prompts, and then the 6th is like a free prompt of your choice. You can write about whatever you want.
Okay. And then the other writing requirement is, depending on the school as well, is the writing supplement, where they also give you smaller prompts that you can write on to better, to explain your involvement in the activities or those things that are important to you.
Okay, so you have to answer a prompt, guys. And if you don't, really feel it from within, how do you get your story out there? Is that pretty tricky, Kiani? What do you think?
I do think it is really tricky just because when when the college board is going in to look at your essay, already saw your grades, they already saw your extracurriculars, they saw everything about you. This is your time to show who you are other than your academics, your sports, and everything else you put on your application already. And so it is really hard if you're not being true to yourself and you're not talking about something that's true. You know what I mean?
Right. So you pick a prompt, you're giving your kind of personal statement essay. Is there like a word count? Is there like other parameters that you have to kind of adhere to when you're writing your essay?
Yes, so there are, again, it depends on the school. Like, I know a lot of people in Utah are looking to go to BYU, and with that application, there's multiple writing prompts. Like, I don't know how many there are. There's a lot of questions, and you have to answer all of them.
Wow.
But for other schools, like all the schools that I was looking at applying, other than BYU, there's like 5 prompts, and then the 6th is like a prompt of your choice, and you can choose whatever you want from that. And they all do have, for the most part, a word count, and it does vary. I've seen some for 500 words, and then some 3,000. So you don't have to hit it. That's just the max.
Okay.
So
So that's interesting. So go ahead.
I was just going to add, Geraldine and Kiani, when people are writing from the heart, right, and they're writing their story, they have so much to say, right, and you'll see that as they're writing, they're going way over the word count, way over.
Way over, yeah, because your story is
because
just all
it's so meaningful. So so they're feeling everything.
Okay.
They feel that everything's important, and there are many things that are important, but really because the word count, it makes you condense it down to the most important things.
Okay.
And I think that's what I'm saying is when you're writing and trying to be your authentic self and you're telling them the things that are important to you, you're not lost for words, right?
Right.
But it's just a matter of putting together the words to fit the word count and then doing it in a way that's consistent, shows that passion, consistent with the other things that you're involved in.
Okay. So word count, right? Making sure we're kind of in that mark, the prompt that's going to connect with you emotionally. Revisions. This is why revisions are important, is because you may feel like you're getting your point across, but then someone reads it and they're just like, wait a second.
I didn't get what you were, you just told me but I didn't read that in the essay.
Because in your mind, you got the story already, right? But you have to relay it in a way that they're going to get the story as well. I always feel like when you write your personal essay statement, it's like we're kind of movie producers and you're like the headline, right? And you're trying to package yourself in a way that you're telling this story that, man, I really got to follow this girl because she's going places, or guy, right? And they want to see that story played out. And so, was it easy for you, Kiani, to kind of just write something and go with that first kind of gut feeling? Or did you feel like, oh, that's not really what I wanted to say? How was that?
It really wasn't easy. I mean, I first started my whole college application stuff with you guys end of my junior year, and that's when I
Did you hear that, guys? End of her junior year, not her senior year.
And did you feel you had enough time when you started at that time?
I felt like I had plenty of time to finish my application because I started working with you guys. We had it outlined, and I was like, oh, you know what? It's summer, and we're in COVID lockdown. I have nowhere else to be. So I know it's different now for the kids that are going to be applying to college next year because they have more stuff to be doing. I didn't really have a lot other than like the training I could do outside and hanging out with my family. So most of my time was just dedicated to getting the application done, and all I left for myself to finish was my essay and my letter of recommendations. And when Auntie Geraldine came to me, was like, okay, Kiani, like your next step is your personal essay. What do you want to write it about? I was like, shoot, what do I like? What do I want to write about? And so
That's a lot, right?
It
Put
was
on
it was a
paper.
lot. And so I was like, can I have some time? Can you get back with me tomorrow? And I think she texted me the next day and was like, hey, any ideas? And I was like, you know what? I need a week. So like a week later, I texted her about my idea, or I might have emailed. I might have emailed you. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what my first
But your
idea
first
was.
thought,
But I gave her
right?
an outline. Like I had my intro, I had my body curves, I had it all planned out for what I wanted to do. But when I sent it to her, I was like, oh, like this just doesn't feel like me. Like it's something I'm passionate about, but it just doesn't feel right. Like something feels wrong. And Auntie Josina called me and was like, just make sure like whatever it is something you're passionate about, something you want to talk about, and you're gonna let them see another part of you that's not already on your application. Right. So when I thought about that, I was like, okay, my original idea, like, I gotta go. Like it's not, I can't do it.
It's not doing her justice.
Yeah. So I went through so many ideas just because I have so many things that I'm passionate about, and I know it's not the case with a lot of people, and I think most people can't figure out what to write. Right. I felt like I had so many different things I could write about, and I wasn't sure what to pick. So in that case, that made it really hard, and I kept bouncing between ideas, and then I finally found what I was most passionate about and wanted to write about.
How did you find that?
Well, so to be honest, I was applying early action to Harvard, which means I could, and restricted early action, so I could only apply to Harvard. And so I was gonna meet their deadline and turn it in like the day before. And that was my plan, so I knew I had like a couple weeks to write it. So I was kind of going back between like 5 ideas that I had, and I was like, okay, whatever just speaks to me, like that's what I'm gonna go with. But then I ended up going on an unofficial visit to the East Coast, and when I came back, I was told that I needed to submit my application within 3 days.
3 days, guys, that's it.
And I didn't have I had my letter of recommendations in, but I did not have my essay done because I was expecting to have 3 weeks, which I do not recommend doing. Get your essay done.
Yes, don't procrastinate.
Yeah, do not procrastinate it. I was just trying to figure out what to write, so I didn't have a lot of time. And on my flight from Boston to Salt Lake City, I started typing something on my computer. And I liked the way it was going, but still, like I felt like I wasn't like really displaying who I was and
hitting the mark.
Yeah, but it was going the right way, and so I remember I took a nap on the plane and I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to write about this. So I went home that day. I think it was like I didn't think I had school that day. So I spent that whole day just writing my essay, and I just poured my heart and soul into my paper. And my topic was pretty much about the Hawaiian culture and how we as people have evolved, and how I want to take that further and kind of elevate and reunite the people since we've been divided. And I just poured my heart and soul into that paper, and like Uncle Alama said, like it has to be something you're emotionally attached to. And I read it before I came, and I was about to cry. Like I just like, even though like sometimes when I read my old papers, I'm like, oh, this is so cringy. But this essay, like it really like still like hits home to me, just because of how much it really meant to me. So like I know it's a process that's gonna take a while, and it takes a couple tries, and especially if you're working with them, like it's a lot of back and forth between like, okay, what should I write about, and then giving them your ideas, and then they give you some feedback. Like it's a lot of work, but ultimately at the end of the day, it has to be something like you are pouring your heart and soul into paper. Like your personal statement is you in paper form. Like that's what I like to think of it as.
I gotta give it to Kiani because I was with her in this journey. And fortunately, like she said, we started early, right? In order to kind of lay it all out and put it all together. And I was waiting. I'm like, okay, where's that essay? Where's that essay? And when she gave it to me, I cried too. Like, it just welled up in me. Like, you don't know how to explain it when it hits you. And this is what I'm hoping the admissions office felt as well. But you read it, and it's just like you see it all there. And I was just like, Kiani, where did this come from? This is amazing. I was just, we're in a beautiful position to witness these kids evolve right before our eyes within this short period of time. And it's a beautiful process. And it's not easy, but I got to hand it to them because they're going to school, right? Like Kiani said, she was trying to hit the mark for early application, which actually is November 1st of your senior year. And so you juniors out there, hello, that is why we actually started working with her kind of this month, last year. Is that crazy?
We had our first meeting.
Yeah.
End of March.
End of March.
Have you opened up your application yet?
Yes.
And so,
That's the question I got. So.
yeah, juniors, like, you know, many people are like, oh, we're not seniors yet, we're not worried about the application process. But when you consider what this is worth, right? 4 years at a major college institution of higher learning, this one essay is typically something that you don't want to, like Alema said, check the box. And so when we this is the beauty of it, because when we work with the girls, when we work with the guys, we really interview you. We get to understand you, what you've done, what you're accomplished, leadership, service, all of that boils down to. But this one story is something like Kiani said, they don't see. They see it all, the leadership, service, and check the box sort of things, but they don't see this underlying passion and power that comes through.
That's true, because it's amazing to see the development and the growth.
Yeah.
I was going to ask more about...
No tears, Dad, no tears.
Right. I was trying to keep it together. Because that was amazing, an amazing essay. And you too can write an amazing essay.
Right.
Because, you know, there's only one you.
Yes.
And you just need to be able to tell your story in a way that tells people what's important to you, what you're going to bring to that campus, which I wanted to get some feedback to. You know, when you were writing it, did you do like what a lot of people did, write down almost like a resume, almost like a, you know, writing down all your accomplishments in your essay? Did you fall into that trap at all? Waste time doing that a little bit?
Honestly, I mean, like I said before, like I had so many different ideas, so I still have so many drafts of ideas I had, and in a few of them, like to be honest, I had some stuff where I was like, why am I just talking about like my accomplishments or things I've done in my life when I've already done stuff. But my final one that I ended up submitting, I didn't talk about anything that I had accomplished in the past. Everything was about like my goals for the future and how I'm gonna make a difference.
And the other thing was, you know, after reading your essay, you did the thing that they were asking, what most schools about personal essays are asking for. They want to know, number one, what are you bringing to make an impact on their campus? Right? How are you going to impact that campus, number one? Number two, if they were to grant you that degree, what are you going to do with that degree?
Exactly.
And answering those two questions just kind of gives it, makes it come full circle so that you're explaining to them why you need to be on that campus. Yeah.
So, in my opinion, Kiani could have run for the President of the United States. I mean, when I read that essay, I was just like, you know what? My faith is restored in the future of America. And I'm not kidding. I loved it. But, you know, Alema, you mentioned something that was interesting, is that don't write it to compare to another applicant. You know, this is a funny thing that people think, well, I got to compare myself to everybody across the board. The funny thing is, it's you against you. And what I mean by that is, you have to be your best you. This story has got to show your best you. And so, Kiani, when you said, I didn't write about my accomplishments, that was great because they already knew that. But what is different? What is unique? What is something that you're not already giving us? And I think you'd mentioned that before. And so as I was working with each one of our students this past year, I couldn't wait to open up their essay. I felt like it was a package. It was a gift, you know, of, man, this is me. This is my best self. And so when I read it, I just get, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. And then, of course, there was a few technical or grammar issues, you know, or are you meaning to say this, or what does this mean? And so that's what Kiani was saying. We kind of would go with the back and forth on that to help out.
I want to talk a little bit more on workflow and list of tasks to do.
Right.
And one of the big messages we want you to hear out of all this is you need to start early, which means this is the start early I wanted to talk about. starting freshman, sophomore year, so that you can create this story that you want to start writing about your junior year, right? We're telling you to open up the application junior year. But if you were to have gotten involved in various activities that showed your passion, right? Or had showed you that you were developing a talent, showed service and leadership. And that's all done and created. That history of activities is done freshman and sophomore year. And then junior year following through. Very tough to write an incredible application if you don't have experience in doing those things. So Kiani was lucky. She had gone through some experiences that molded her life, and she was able to express that. My advice to the public at large is to start creating your history of service, leadership. It could be an interest, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be tech, where you're getting involved in developing a talent in a way so that when you finally do open up that application junior year, you have 2-year history of very meaningful things that you're involved in. And like we were saying, she had no problem filling up the paper, right? And meeting the word count. And that's what you'll see will happen to you as a junior if you open up that. You'll have all this, a wave of information, a wave of experiences to be able to put down on paper. And then, of course, you whittle it down through all the revisions, right? But you'll have a wave of things to share, different from everywhere else. But you accumulate that history of activities freshman, sophomore year. So when we start saying freshman, sophomore years, please come see us. We're not joking.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get created junior year.
No.
It's created freshman, sophomore year.
And it's really interesting. I mean, everyone's personal essay is going to be unique. I had some stories that I was able to read that are totally different, that actually talked about more of the struggle and the lessons learned versus, I'm going to go and take on the world, save the world, right? But again, it's showing them a side of you that it's like, man, if this kid can weather this challenge, then they probably will do a better job sticking in the college when things get tough, because it does get tough, right? And so,
and those colleges, they don't admit you because you appear to have checked all the boxes.
right,
They admit you because they feel that they're forecasting you're going to graduate.
exactly. Their numbers are such that they are in the high, I'm wanting to say 97% graduation. When I was looking at that, because I work at the community college, and granted, it's a little different, so our graduation
You
rate.
mean you're not 97%?
Not yet. Yet is the key word here. But when I'm looking at those graduation rates, that tells you that they are looking at you finishing, not you just getting accepted, but you finishing their degrees.
Not
so
graduating.
yeah. So I would encourage you, like all of us have mentioned tonight, is number one, start the process early. Number two, give yourself some time to work through a few ideas. It may not come to you, most likely, the first time around.
Many ideas is number one, and two, many emergencies, right? You get delayed, someone gets sick.
That's true.
Something happens in the family, you don't
Right.
have now, you thought you would have the time, but you don't have the time now. That's what you're trying to be wise about, giving yourself plenty of time.
So I have to give a shout out. It looks like we have Jen Fafita out there. Thanks so much, Jen. Jen is a mom of one of our students, and we are so grateful to have worked with her daughter, and she got accepted as well.
Jenna Fifita. Accepted to Lindenwood University, the rugby powerhouse. So proud of her, and she's set up to do some great things.
And hers was a unique story as well. And this is the beauty of each individual. Like Alema says, there's no one else like you, no one else who's gone through your journey quite like you. And that is the essence that we want to bring forth when we're writing this. Is like, don't write it as you think they want to hear it. Don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Write it as it was. Let it show the beauty of what it was, because they're going to see through that. They're going to wonder, well, why is this person talking this way? And then the letters of recommendations are
Say a
telling
different story.
another story.
And then grades and GPA test scores say a different story. They all have to say the same story, which is you're going to be a fantastic candidate for their campus.
So grateful for the opportunity to work with these wonderful, these outstanding students. I mean, I gotta hand it to you, Kiani. It's not easy playing a sport, maintaining this high GPA, right? Taking this academic rigor of, AP courses, and then of course some of our students are taking seminary. And then dealing with home life. Like Kiani, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
There's 6. There are 7 of us total.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
The household of 7 kids, mom and dad's busy life, and was there ever a point when you're going through this process that you were like, I don't know if I can do this? Like, did you ever?
There was. My dad and I were in the Meters parking lot. we had
You were where? Meters?
Meters parking lot. I think we had gone to get lunch or something, and my parents are great. They've always pushed me and my siblings throughout our whole lives, and they continue to do so. But I was just like getting like, I feel like when you're talking to an Ivy League school and thinking about applying there, there's just like a lot of like emotional pressure, and so like I tried to talk to my dad. I was like, Dad, like first of all, I don't know if I can get in. Second of all, I don't know if I can do this. Like I think I'm gonna have to go to BYU. Like I don't know if I can do this. And
which isn't bad, BYU.
Which is not
bad
at all.
BYU.
Yes, we do. My brother goes there. That was my second choice, and I would have loved to go to BYU too. But I was like, Dad, like, I think I'm gonna go to BYU. Like I don't know if I can do this. And my dad was just like, like at the end of the day, I'm gonna support whatever you do, but I just want you to like realize like how big of an opportunity this is for you. Like how many girls from where you come from get this opportunity. And so he said that to me, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like and even if I really was like iffy, like am I gonna get in? Like is my application gonna be strong enough, and am I gonna get in? I was just like, it was really like, it felt really heavy on me. But once I realized, like, at the end of the day, like, it's up to, like, me trying, it's like, it's up to me. So as long as I was trying and I did my best in my application, and I trusted all my 4 years before my senior year that I was doing everything I needed to put me in the best situation. As long as I tried, I knew there's nothing bad that could happen from it. Like I could get accepted, and that was best case. But if not, like it just wasn't meant to be. Like there's somewhere else I'm supposed to be, something else I'm supposed to be doing. But there's definitely times where I was like, this is so hard. Like I don't know if I can do it. But ultimately, I'm glad I took the shot, and yeah. You never know. You never know.
Man.
I'm so glad you shared that with some of our viewers out there, because I feel like many times we think, oh, it's like a walk in the park, I've hit the mark with my grades, my ACT. I mean, poor Kiani, right? She had to do the ACT a few times, like many of our students, because of hitting that mark. So that's additional. Like you're saying, you were feeling the weight of the whole process. But I got to hand it to you, because when you have that mindset of, I'm just going to try, I'm just going to put myself out there, it really then becomes this magical thing of like, how did you feel when you got that acceptance letter?
Oh, it was so crazy. I was so, like, everything just felt right. Like, I was so unsure if everything would work out. And like you said, like, all those boxes, I felt like I had hit them, but I still was like, I don't know if I...
Will it be good enough?
Yeah, like, I wasn't sure if it would be good enough. Like, I had everything that I felt like I needed to get in, but I wasn't sure if it would work out. So when I got my acceptance letter, I was just shook. I was like, no way! Like I can't believe it. It just felt like
we were too. We were like, we just gave birth to a new baby girl. This is
so exciting.
We didn't give birth, but we were so excited for this.
Let me ask you this. So when you're looking at something, and it could be just experiences in life, right? You want something good. In fact, you want something really bad, and a lot of people say, just settle for this, then you'll be happy. You can have.
They kind of pull back.
And say, or they devalue it. They'll say, it's not all that. And don't try it. If it doesn't. But I think what I love about people who are reaching for higher and they're swinging, right?
Yeah.
They prepare themselves, they go for it, because they set a goal and then they move all things towards it, right? I'm going to crash or burn no matter what, but these are the things I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do everything they ask me to do, and I'm just going to put it out there. If they want it, great. If they don't want it, great too, because I got a plan B too. We're just going to move on, right? That takes a certain mindset. It's a certain mindset where it says, you dictate, no matter your circumstances, what you want out of life. Yeah, that's amazing for me to see you at. You're not even 18 years old.
I'm 18.
You're 18 now? Nice. When kids are so young and they know that's a principle, that's almost like an eternal principle.
Yeah.
You always set that goal first, and then you move everything towards it and work in faith, right?
Yeah.
You did that, and you were successful, and there's beautiful. There's something beautiful about that.
Yeah. I feel like that's the mindset I'm still working to. I don't think I'm necessarily there yet. But one thing that's helped push my mind that way is just growing up. My mom would always say, well, the worst they can say is no. And anytime I would be too scared to ask someone for something, or too scared to order my own, to just do whatever. She's like, the worst that can happen is no.
Yeah.
And and that used to scare me, but in life, everyone you're gonna hear no so many times.
Yeah.
So the worst you can hear is no, and no is not always a bad thing. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it,
Good
Kiani.
principle.
Another question I had, since our daughter got in, and we were just as dumbfounded as you. We were just like, "Are you serious? This just happened?" Did it make you feel any better knowing that someone that was like you, similar to you, got in, that you could maybe get in there too?
100%. I mean, I have to, when I graduate, I can go to my 7th grade teacher and ask for this letter. But I have a letter that I wrote to my senior self, my 7th grade year, about where I saw myself. My senior year went from my 7th grade year, and I had no idea, and my parents both went to BYUH, and so I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll go to BYU.
Seasiders, right?
Yeah, I was like, yeah. So I went on my laptop and I typed in top 5 colleges in the U.S. and Harvard came up as number 1, and I went into the images and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can go here. I saw a bunch of white kids wearing Harvard gear, and I was like, man, I don't think I live in Kuhu, Hawaii. I don't think I didn't even know where it was. I didn't think it was attainable. And so in my letter I wrote that that's where I was gonna go for college. My 7th grade year I wrote that. And,
wow, your 7th grade year? Oh my gosh.
So crazy. But
that's not planting a seed in your head.
Yeah. But I still had that thing I don't think it's not I can't do it. I don't know if I can do it. But once I saw that Nafi got in, I was like, I have a shot. Someone who looks like me, somebody who comes from a similar background from me, if they can do it, so can I.
I love that.
Making space for the next one.
And that's what Manuia is all about, is that now that we've understood how we can package our kids to showcase their best self, all the hard work, 17, 18 years of work and dedication and service and leadership, that should not go unnoticed. You guys are you have a great advantage, okay? And so what we're here to do is shine the light on you, right? Because you come from great families, you got that work ethic. That mindset is always going to check you. It does at our age, right? We're here kind of branching out and trying to do this work, and oh my gosh, I don't know if this is needed, who's going to do it. But, as we see more of our kids on these campuses, it shifts our mindset to say, actually, you know what? We can do this. We belong on these campuses. Yes. We can contribute to the culture. We can represent a community that's underrepresented, right? And so this is what we're talking about, is that if we remove barriers of funding, right, that you can get your college paid for, if we remove barriers of how do I access these great universities by having
these services,
right?
The application
Understanding
process.
the process, it's not just a check the box. We really got to take some time, be intentional, be purposeful, And then that mindset of like, you know what? I want this and I just gotta keep going. I gotta take that next step to get it done. And I tell you what, we have seen so many great stories this year, and that was the hope that we wanted is to have that blessing fall their way, right? And so if you have kids out there that are looking to go to great schools and you're still kind of wondering, man, I don't know if we can do this, we're here to help.
If you're thinking and you're doubtful that that any of your kids know the process to get into college, then you need to get a hold of us quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're reaching out to organizations out there now that we have our nonprofit. You know, we want to be able to work with more families where funding for these services are unavailable at this time. But we don't want to let that hard work go unnoticed. And so if you know of someone who'd like to contribute and help this cause along, please reach out to us at Manuia. Is there anything else that we want to share with our viewers tonight?
No, I thought tonight was great. Kiani being here, our special guest.
Oh, we love having Kiani
Man,
here.
hearing her story and the experiences that she's had should help someone out there.
Right. So remember again, families, that the key thing is to organize yourselves early, to kind of set benchmarks as they're going from 9th, 10th, 11th grade, so that as we're working with them, we can build that resume that shows that history of passion and of purpose. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to meeting with you again. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, let's get some questions.
Okay, so it looks like we've got congratulations to you, Kiani,
Thank you.
from the Lomos out there, and also, gosh, my eyes are kind of failing me here.